A second chance at love. Rock bottom. Emma sat on the freezing sidewalk, pulling her tattered gray coat tighter around her. The cold bit at her fingers as she cupped them around a steaming breath, trying to bring some warmth back to her body. A light drizzle coated the city streets, turning reflections of streetlights into long, stretching ghosts on the wet pavement. People hurried past, barely sparing her a glance. She had once been one of them, rushing to work, grabbing coffee, worrying about things that now seemed trivial. But life had unraveled fast. A series of bad choices, an abusive relationship, and then losing her job had sent her into a downward spiral. She had tried to pull herself out, but each attempt seemed to sink her deeper. She used to believe in love. She used to dream of a future where someone would stand by her, see her for who she was beneath the scars of her past. But those dreams felt laughable now. She had been told so many times that she was unlovable, broken beyond repair. Eventually, she believed it. A stranger's kindness Emma barely noticed when a shadow fell over her. She assumed it was another person passing by. But when she looked up, she saw a man crouching before her. He wasn't like the others. He didn't avoid eye contact, didn't flinch at the sight of her ragged clothes. His eyes were filled with something she hadn't seen in a long time: concern. "Are you okay?" he asked. Emma hesitated. People didn't usually ask that, and if they did, they didn't want the real answer. "I've been better," she said, her voice hoarse. The man, who looked to be in his 40s, had graying stubble and kind eyes. He took off his warm beanie and pressed it into her hands. "It's not much, but this'll help with the cold." She stared at it. The simple gesture caught her off guard. People had thrown coins in her cup before, some out of pity, others to ease their guilt. But this was different. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm Jack," he said. "There's a diner just around the corner. Can I buy you a hot meal?" Her first instinct was to refuse. Pride was the last thing she had left, and accepting help had never been easy. But the hunger clawing at her stomach was stronger than her pride. She nodded. Conversations over coffee. The warmth of the diner hit her like a wave as they stepped inside. She could smell fresh coffee, sizzling bacon, and something sweet, maybe pancakes. Jack led her to a booth, and moments later, a steaming plate of food was placed in front of her. She ate slowly at first, but as soon as the first bite hit her stomach, she couldn't stop. Jack didn't say much, just let her eat, sipping his coffee with patience. When she finally slowed down, he asked, "What's your story?" She hesitated again. How could she sum up years of pain in a single conversation? But something about Jack made her feel safe. So she told him. She talked about the abusive relationship that had stolen her confidence, the job she lost, the friends who had slowly disappeared. She expected pity, but Jack just listened. When she finished, she expected him to say something like, "I'm sorry," or "That's tough." Instead, he said, "That's not where your story ends." She frowned. "It feels like it is." "No," he said. "This is just a chapter, and you get to decide what happens next." A second chance. Jack didn't just buy her dinner and leave. He showed up the next day and the day after that. He helped her find a shelter, gave her leads on job opportunities, and more than anything, reminded her that she was worth something. Over time, Emma began to believe it. She found work as a cashier at a small bookstore. It wasn't glamorous, but it was enough to afford a tiny apartment. Jack helped her furnish it, bringing over an old couch and a coffee table he no longer used. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Jack became more than just a friend. He became her lifeline. And somewhere along the way, Emma realized that the way her heart fluttered when he smiled wasn't just gratitude. She was falling in love. Love, after all. One evening, as they sat on her thrift store couch watching an old movie, Jack turned to her. "You know, when I met you that night, I wasn't just helping you. You helped me too." Emma raised an eyebrow. "How?" "I lost my wife 2 years ago," he admitted. "Since then, I've just been existing. But you reminded me what it feels like to care again, to feel alive." Tears welled in her eyes. "Jack." He reached for her hand, hesitating for just a moment before intertwining his fingers with hers. "Maybe we can figure out the next chapter together," he said. Emma squeezed his hand, a warmth spreading through her chest that had nothing to do with the room temperature. For the first time in years, she believed in love again. And this time, she knew she was worthy of it.